Rome didn't begin with marble. It didn't begin with emperors or legions or roads that stretched to the edges of the known world. It began with mud huts on a hill above a river that nobody particularly cared about. What happened next is the most consequential story in Western history. This is the complete history of Rome. Go back to around 1000 BC. The Italian peninsula is a patchwork of tribes, none of them especially remarkable. On the eastern bank of the Tiber River, a cluster of Latin-speaking villages sits on 7 hills above the floodplain. The hills matter. They're defensible. The river matters. It's navigable and sits at a natural crossing point. According to Roman tradition, the city is founded in 753 BC by Romulus, who kills his twin brother Remus in a dispute over which hill to build on, then names the city after himself. Whether you believe the legend or not, archaeology confirms that by the 8th century BC, this site is permanently inhabited and growing. For its first 2.5 centuries, Rome is a kingdom. 7 kings rule in succession, the last of them Etruscan. In 509 BC, the Romans throw out their king, Tarquinius Superbus, Tarquin the Proud, and replace monarchy with something new, a republic. 2 elected consuls share power, each able to veto the other. Rome decides, early, that one man with too much power is dangerous. It is a lesson they will eventually forget. The republic expands slowly at first, then with terrifying momentum. Rome defeats the neighboring Latin tribes, absorbs the Etruscans, pushes south against the Greek colonies. By 264 BC, Rome controls the entire Italian peninsula. Then, it runs into Carthage. The Punic Wars are 3 of the most brutal conflicts the ancient world produces. The second one nearly finishes Rome entirely. In 218 BC, the Carthaginian general Hannibal leads an army, including war elephants, across the Alps and into Italy. He wins battle after battle. At Cannae in 216 BC, he destroys a Roman army of 70,000 men in a single afternoon. It remains one of the most studied tactical victories in military history. Rome refuses to surrender. It absorbs the losses, raises new armies, and keeps fighting. Eventually, it takes the war to Carthage itself. By 146 BC, Carthage is razed to the ground. Rome salts the earth where it stood. The Mediterranean is now essentially a Roman lake. But victory abroad creates crisis at home. The Republic begins tearing itself apart. Wealth from conquest floods into the hands of a small elite. Landless veterans return from wars to find their farms taken. Reformers like the Gracchi brothers try to redistribute land and are murdered for it. Generals with loyal armies realize they are more powerful than the Senate. The Republic's careful system of checks begins to fail. Julius Caesar crosses the Rubicon in 49 BC with his army, an act of treason that triggers civil war. He wins. He's declared Dictator Perpetuo, dictator in perpetuity. The Senate, terrified of what this means, assassinates him on the Ides of March, 44 BC. 23 stab wounds. The floor of the theater of Pompey runs red. The assassination solves nothing. Another civil war follows. Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian, eventually defeats Mark Antony and Cleopatra at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. He returns to Rome, renames himself Augustus, and carefully, quietly dismantles the Republic while pretending to restore it. He never calls himself king. He doesn't have to. He is the first Roman emperor, and Rome will never be a republic again. Augustus transforms Rome physically. He claims to have found a city of brick and left it a city of marble. The Pantheon, the Forum of Augustus, aqueducts delivering fresh water across hundreds of miles. At its peak under Emperor Trajan in 117 AD, the Roman Empire stretches from Scotland to Mesopotamia, from the Rhine to the Sahara. 60 million people live under Roman rule. Rome, the city, swells to perhaps 1 million inhabitants. It is the largest city on Earth. The Colosseum, completed in 80 AD, seats 50,000 people and hosts gladiatorial combat, wild animal hunts, and public executions. Entertainment as political control. Keep the population fed and distracted, and they won't ask difficult questions. Not every emperor is Augustus. Caligula, Nero, Commodus. The imperial system that concentrates power in one man guarantees that when a bad one arrives, and they keep arriving, the consequences are catastrophic. By the 3rd century, the empire enters a crisis so severe that in a single 50-year period, Rome has over 20 emperors, most of them assassinated.
Constantine stabilizes things briefly in the early 4th century, moves the capital east to Constantinople, and makes Christianity the empire's official religion. It buys time. Not much. The western half of the empire is already hollowing out. The economy is strained. The army is stretched. Barbarian tribes, Visigoths, Vandals, Huns, are pressing in from every direction. In 410 AD, the Visigoth king Alaric sacks Rome. The city that had never fallen in 800 years falls in 3 days. The shock reverberates across the entire Roman world. It is not quite the end. The Western Empire staggers on for another 66 years. But in 476 AD, the Germanic chieftain Odoacer deposes the last Western emperor, a boy named Romulus Augustulus. Romulus, like the founder, and does not bother appointing a replacement. The Western Roman Empire is over. The city that had begun as mud huts on a hill is left with a population of perhaps 20,000. The forums are empty. The aqueducts run dry. Cattle graze in the ruins of the Senate. But Rome's ideas do not die with Rome. Its law underlies every legal system in the Western world. Its language fractures into French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Romanian. Its roads are still walked. Its calendar is still used. Its church outlasts its empire by 2,000 years and counting. Rome fell. What it built never did. If this journey through Rome's incredible rise and fall left you wanting more, hit the like button. It genuinely helps. Subscribe so you don't miss the next city. And as always, we'll see you in the past.